The origins of ancient Egypt are tied to the fertile Nile Valley, where geography and abundant resources led to the formation of one of the world's most lasting civilizations. Around 3100 BCE, Egypt emerged along the Nile River, whose annual flooding enriched the soil and fostered agriculture. The river provided not only sustenance through farming and fishing, but also protection from external threats, enhancing Egypt's development. The Nile became central to Egypt's worldview, revered as both a lifeline and a divine force. The early inhabitants of the Nile Valley were semi-nomadic tribes, transitioning from hunting and gathering to settled agricultural life. Evidence from sites like Merimda Beni Salameh and El Omari shows that the early Egyptians cultivated crops like barley, wheat, and flax, while domesticating animals like cattle, sheep, and goats. By 4000 BCE, regional cultures developed, including the Badarian and Naqada cultures. The Badarians, circa 4400 to 4000 BCE, early farming societies in Upper Egypt, left behind simple pottery and burial artifacts. Successors, the Naqada culture, circa 4000 to 3000 BCE, were more advanced, engaging in trade, crafting elaborate pottery, and developing early forms of writing. The cultural and geographical divisions between Upper and Lower Egypt were significant, with Lower Egypt influenced by external cultures from the Mediterranean and Levant, while Upper Egypt maintained its more isolated traditions. The unification of these two regions under the first pharaoh, Narmer, often equated with Menes, around 3100 BCE, marked the start of the early dynastic period and laid the foundation for a centralized state. The rise of Egypt. The early dynastic period, beginning with Narmer's unification of Upper and Lower Egypt around 3100 BCE, established the framework for Egypt's state. The Narmer palette, a ceremonial stone artifact, depicts Narmer wearing the crowns of both regions, symbolizing his control over Egypt. During his reign, Egypt began its first military campaigns into Nubia to secure valuable resources like gold and slaves, setting the stage for future Egyptian dominance over Nubia. The growth of Egypt's wealth fueled cultural achievements, particularly in art and iconography. Trade networks expanded to regions such as Nubia, the Levant, and Mesopotamia, bringing timber, incense, and metals into Egypt. This contributed to a growing sophistication in Egyptian society, with the development of religious traditions centered around gods like Ra, Osiris, and Hathor. Monumental architecture began with Pharaoh Djoser's Step Pyramid, circa 2630 BCE, one of the earliest large-scale stone constructions in Egypt. The Old Kingdom, circa 2613 to 2181 BCE, is considered a high point in Egyptian culture, particularly during the Fourth Dynasty. Pharaoh Sneferu pioneered pyramid construction with his three major pyramid projects, while his successor Khufu oversaw the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. This monumental structure, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, showcased Egypt's architectural prowess. Trade flourished during this time as Egypt became a hub for commerce. Expeditions into Nubia brought gold, and materials like cedarwood from Lebanon and copper from Sinai fueled Egypt's economy. Luxury goods like jewelry were buried with royalty, reflecting Egypt's wealth and cultural development. However, despite the grandeur of the Old Kingdom, the period began to decline around 281 BCE due to poor Nile flooding, causing crop failures and famine. Simultaneously, the Grand Pyramid building projects drained Egypt's resources, and the decentralization of power to local governors weakened the centralized state. By the end of the Sixth Dynasty, Egypt fractured, marking the start of the First Intermediate Period. The First Intermediate Period and Hyksos invasion. The collapse of the Old Kingdom led to the First Intermediate Period, circa 2081 to 2055 BCE, a time of political instability. Egypt fragmented into rival regions, primarily between the Heracleopolitan rulers of Lower Egypt and the Theban rulers of Upper Egypt. Civil war and famine intensified, and the central government crumbled under pressure. During this period, Egypt faced a new external threat from the Hyksos, a Semitic people from the Levant. The Hyksos invaded and established control over northern Egypt, particularly in the Nile Delta. Their introduction of advanced military technology, including the horse-drawn chariot and the composite bow, gave them an advantage over the native Egyptians, who still relied on traditional combat methods. The Hyksos ruled from the delta, while the Theban rulers held on to control in the south, creating a dual kingship. Despite their foreign origins, the Hyksos adapted to Egyptian culture, adopting Egyptian deities and building temples in the traditional style. However, their rule was eventually challenged by the Theban princes, leading to a resistance movement that culminated in the expulsion of the Hyksos by Ahmose I, a Theban prince. His victory marked the end of the Second Intermediate Period and the beginning of the New Kingdom, which saw Egypt rise once again to its former power. The New Kingdom and Second Golden Age. The New Kingdom, circa 1550 to 1070 BCE, represents Egypt's Second Golden Age, a period of military expansion, prosperity, and monumental achievements. Under pharaohs like Thutmose III, Amenhotep II, and Ramses II, Egypt expanded its territory from Nubia in the south to parts of the Levant in the north. These conquests brought immense wealth, which funded grand architectural projects, including the construction of monumental temples and tombs. The military successes of the New Kingdom also led to Egypt's dominance in the region. Pharaohs like Ramses II conducted military campaigns that solidified Egypt's position as a regional superpower. The construction of grand temples at Karnak and Luxor, as well as the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, marked this era as a high point in Egyptian cultural achievement. However, the New Kingdom's decline began with internal corruption and external threats. The military, once the backbone of Egypt's empire, began to falter, and by the end of the 20th dynasty, Egypt's power waned. The Sea Peoples, a coalition of raiders, attacked Egypt's coastal regions, further destabilizing the kingdom. The increasing power of local rulers and regional instability led to the fragmentation of Egypt and the eventual collapse of the New Kingdom. Following the decline of Egypt's New Kingdom, the ancient civilization was caught in the crossfire of rising empires. In 525 BCE, Egypt fell to the Persian Empire under King Cambyses II. The Persians, already expanding their dominion across much of the ancient world, sought to control Egypt due to its strategic location and resources. After a swift military campaign, Cambyses defeated the last native Egyptian ruler, Psamtik III, at the Battle of Pelusium, bringing Egypt into the vast Persian Empire. The Persian rule was characterized by periods of stability and unrest, with the Egyptians occasionally rebelling against their foreign rulers. Despite these tensions, the Persians maintained control of Egypt for over a century, during which the country was governed as a satrapy, a provincial administration under a Persian-appointed governor. In 332 BCE, following the fall of the Persian Empire to the forces of Alexander the Great, Egypt was once again conquered, this time by the Macedonian ruler. Alexander's conquest was swift and effective, and upon entering Egypt, he was hailed as a liberator. The Egyptians welcomed Alexander, who was seen as the prophesied deliverer from Persian rule. He founded the city of Alexandria, which would go on to become one of the greatest cultural and intellectual hubs of the ancient world. Upon his death in 323 BCE, Alexander's empire was divided among his generals, known as the Diadochi, with Ptolemy I Soter, one of Alexander's trusted generals, taking control of Egypt. The rise of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the Greek pharaohs. With the establishment of the Ptolemaic dynasty in 305 BCE, Egypt was now ruled by Greek kings, marking the beginning of a new era in the country's long history. Ptolemy I and his successors ruled Egypt as pharaohs, but they were of Greek descent, and their court and military were heavily influenced by Greek culture. Over time, the Ptolemies adopted Egyptian customs and religious practices to legitimize their rule over the native population. They embraced the role of divine kings, claiming to be the successors of the great Egyptian pharaohs, and they commissioned impressive building projects, including the famous Library of Alexandria, which became a symbol of the dynasty's intellectual and cultural achievements. The story of Cleopatra and the end of the Ptolemaic rule. The most famous of the Ptolemaic rulers was Cleopatra VII, who ascended the throne in 51 BCE at a young age, ruling alongside her brother Ptolemy XIII. Cleopatra's reign was marked by political intrigue, power struggles, and significant challenges to her authority. As her brother became increasingly difficult to control, Cleopatra sought external support to secure her throne. This led to her famous relationship with Julius Caesar, the Roman general and dictator. In 48 BCE, Cleopatra famously visited Caesar, and their alliance resulted in the defeat of Ptolemy XIII's forces. She became the sole ruler of Egypt, though her reign was continually challenged by her brother's supporters and later by external Roman interests. After Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE, Cleopatra formed an alliance with Mark Antony, one of Caesar's generals, in an effort to solidify her power. Their union, both political and romantic, led to a military confrontation with the forces of Rome, ultimately leading to their downfall. In 31 BCE, the Battle of Actium, a decisive naval confrontation between Antony and Cleopatra's forces and those of Caesar Augustus, then known as Octavian, ended in defeat for the lovers. Following their defeat, Cleopatra and Antony committed suicide, and Egypt was annexed by Rome, marking the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and Egypt's independence as a Hellenistic kingdom. The Roman Empire and the legacy of Egypt. With the death of Cleopatra, Egypt became a province of the Roman Empire. Its centuries-long history as an independent kingdom had come to an end, and it would remain under Roman control for several centuries. The legacy of ancient Egypt, however, lived on through its monumental architecture, its religious traditions, and its cultural influence, which continued to fascinate and inspire the people of Rome and beyond. The rich history of Egypt, from its early dynasties to its final years as a province of Rome, would continue to captivate generations throughout history, securing its place as one of the most enduring civilizations the world has ever known. Want a deeper look? Visit the blog link in the bio to learn more.
Spartans! What is your profession?